What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Pistons Daily, where you can find daily content covering all things Detroit Pistons every single day. I'm your host. My name is Kyle Garrison. I'm over on Twitter at Kyle Garrison2, where I talk all things Detroit sports. So come on over, say hello, give me comments, questions, concerns, episode ideas. I'd love to hear from all you guys. Also, very sorry for the lack of content lately. I was just traveling across the country, driving back to Michigan, to my hometown from Utah. So I've been on the road for the past couple days. I've been trying to keep up on what's been going on. It seems like it's very dead right now. The sign and trade with Dennis Schroeder and the Kings is not really going anywhere. I know there's been some frustrations there, but let's just get right into today's video. And then obviously over the next couple weeks, we'll continue to put out content. Sorry, it's been a busy last couple days. Didn't have time to get anything out, but we're gonna get started. We're gonna get going, and the summer league is gonna be fun. So I'm excited for the next couple weeks, and we'll be getting content out every single day. But first things first, let's just talk about Chaz Lanier headed into the summer league. I know there's been some discourse about him, whether or not the Pistons front office thinks he can be an impact player right away. If he's going to be one of those Bobby Klintman type players where he sits kind of in the G League, maybe in the next couple years he can come in and be a rotational player. But I am kind of looking at this as he's a 23-year-old. He's a high volume shooter. He's not really at his peak right now. His ceiling is not much higher than where it is right now. So I do think the Pistons might have a little bit of hope that he can come in and provide a little bit of floor spacing, a little bit of consistent high volume shooting. And obviously, he is a second round pick, and you don't really expect much from those guys, especially in year one. But if you find a diamond in the rough, if he plays well in the summer league, can mesh with some of the rotation, maybe we do see him playing later on in the year. I don't expect right away to start the season, but if you have some injuries, if there's some inconsistencies with Jaden Ivey's shot, if he kind of takes a dip back and you really do need floor spacing, especially in the backcourt, he could be an option there. But we're going to have to really see what he's able to do in summer league, how he's able to do against better rookies and some of these G League players. Obviously, the competition is lower, so he's going to need to even be better going into actual NBA play to be able to find a space in this league and continue to produce. But to start it off, it's nice to see how they mesh in the summer league. I hope that they run a ton of dribble handoffs, screen and rolls, pick and pops, pin downs for him, where he is able to show off that movement that we talked about a couple weeks ago on the show. And it's going to be really just fun to kind of watch him in the flow of the offense. He's playing with Zakai Ziegler, who he played with at Tennessee, so he's familiar with. There's some really exciting, fun guys on the team. I'll talk about the Summer League roster as a whole. I just wanted to touch on Chaz Lanier right away. But again, by no means am I saying he's going to play all 82 games next year. But again, if there's injuries or just a clear lack of spacing, if Duncan Robinson isn't producing like you'd want him to, then maybe he's an option. Especially his value right now is about as high as it's going to get. And so maybe you want to throw him in the fire right now, see if he can provide a little bit of spark off the bench. And if not, no harm, no foul. Send him back to the G League, have him on a two-way, do what you want to do. Put him in the Bobby Klintman route. Have him play in the summer league next year. Maybe he shows improvement. But again, this team needs floor spacing. They need to have shooters around Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham. That's going to allow them to really unlock their highest potential and their playmaking ability. So if Lanier shows out in the summer league and you see him kind of take that into the fall, and fall camp works, or in preseason camp goes his way, maybe you do see him next year, later on, middle of the year, even a couple games into the season, just with the lack of spacing, losing Tim Hardaway Jr., losing Malik Beasley. There's gonna have to be people that step up, and if you're not seeing that, I think Lanier could be an option. Don't come at me, because I know, like I said, we got to take that with a grain of salt. Everything that he does in summer league isn't going to automatically translate, but I will talk about it. And if he's showing promise, we'll dive into that, and we'll kind of dissect what's going well, what's not going well. He's the only rookie we really have, so that's kind of the excitement that's coming from summer league. But I did want to just touch on the summer league roster overall. It finally was announced, one of the last teams to do it, which was weird. I don't know if there was stuff going on behind the scenes with the Dennis Schroeder sign and trade that everyone was trying to figure out, but they did drop the summer league roster. I'll just go over that right now. So the first name, which I think is awesome, TJ Bickerstaff, son of JB Bickerstaff, played at James Madison, is a rookie this year. He'll be on the summer league roster. I don't expect him to have any nepotism or any favoritism. If he plays, he plays. If he doesn't, he doesn't. but I would like to see him get some minutes, maybe in the later games when we don't see like Ron Holland and Bobby Klintman, who most like maybe Bobby Klintman will play all five, maybe 6 games, and then Ron Holland, I'm sure, will just play a couple. But Garrison Brooks, another guy who's been a G League player. Sincere Carey, another rookie. Dawson Garcia, who we talked about out of Minnesota, a undrafted rookie this year. Then Ron Holland, some name. Dennis Jenkins, who we know, a rookie last year, played on the Summer League as well. Trevor Keels, who played on the Iowa Wolves last year. And then obviously Bobby Klintman. And then Miller Kopp, Chaz Lanier, TJ Madlock, Tolu Smith, John yeah, I think it's John Ukamadu. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Sorry about that. And then Bryce Williams and Zakai Ziegler, who we talked about. Zakai Ziegler, Bryce Williams out of Nebraska, really talented player. Last year in the Big Ten, had some really big games, including one against Michigan. I remember watching, where pretty sure he had over half of Nebraska's points, which was just ridiculous. But just a high volume scorer. Should be fun to see him in the summer league. I expect him to try and go get buckets, because that's what he does, is he goes and gets buckets. So there might be some times where he's a little out of control, a little sloppy. That's how it is in the summer league, especially with players that were high level scorers in college. They're trying to go get there. So Bryce Williams could struggle a little bit, but I hope he kind of shows off that jump shot of his. He's a really good shooter off the dribble, so that could be fun to watch. And then, yeah, Chaz Lanier, I think, is the guy that everybody's really watching. We kind of know what we have already in Ron Holland. I think maybe he'll show some flashes of things he's working on, which could be fun. Hopefully he shows some improvement in his jump shot. His pull-up jumper gets a little bit more comfortable for him. And then Bobby Klintman, obviously, we saw his efficiency struggles last year in the G League. Hopefully he can come into Summer League and show off that he's been working overseas, and he's getting more comfortable with the game, playing against higher level competition. So I'm excited about Bobby Klintman, but overall, that's just kind of a look at the Summer League roster. I don't think the Pistons will win it all, but it could be fun to kind of watch Chaz Lanier, Bryce Williams, Zakai Ziegler, Bobby Klintman. Some of these guys, maybe they'll have big games, and because I am a sicko and I love basketball, I will be watching Summer League, so you guys don't have to. And I'll break down what I'm seeing. But overall, I'm excited. I'm always excited about Summer League, and I like Chaz Lanier a lot. I've been watching more and more of his film, so I'm excited to kind of see him put it to work against some higher level competition. But then moving on, I wanted to touch on the trade exception the sign and trade, I should rather say, with the Sacramento Kings involving Dennis Schroeder. Like I mentioned, I've been driving the past 3 days across the country, so I've paid attention a little bit, as much as I can, but it sounds like there's been back and forth reports. It's on, it's not. Malik Monk's coming, he's not. John Collins is an option, then he's not. So apparently there's just been a ton of just different viewpoints on the situation from each front office, and clearly the Pistons aren't really comfortable taking on Malik Monk's big contract. They don't want another guard where they have to pay. So Malik Monk's, I think, off the table right now. Who knows at this point? It's all speculation. But the thing with this situation is, if you don't make a move like we talked about, you have that $22.6 million right now that you could make a move. But if you don't end up signing anybody or trading for somebody or whatnot, then you have the flexibility come the trade deadline for that $14.3 million trade exception. So I get it. It's an underwhelming season. You want to find a guy to fill some of these holes right away. You want to be able to add, but if you aren't able to go and get a Malik Monk or a PJ Washington, who I'll touch on in a second, then you can bleed that over into the trade deadline. And then you have the ability to kind of evaluate what's going wrong, what's missing, what are the missing pieces from the first half of the year. And then you can add, like the Pistons did with Dennis Schroeder last year. If there's injuries, I mean, hopefully, obviously, there's no injuries, but it happens. So if there are, then you have the flexibility at the deadline where you're saying, oh, we have $14.3 million. We can go get somebody. A guy like PJ Washington fits under that. He's an expiring contract, and you think he makes like $14.2 million. Maybe they'd have to figure out a way to make those contracts work. But it would be a lot easier than going and trying to make a huge splash for Jaren Jackson Jr. or even John Collins now, who just got traded to the Clippers for actually pennies. They did not. Utah just blew up everything and did not get much in return. So that's another story for another day. But John Collins obviously off the table. So if you do want to take it over into the season, figure out where you might need some help going into the playoffs. If you're a team where, like last year, you had a Jaden Ivey injury, but you were still competitive, then you can find a way to fill that hole, like they were able to get another ball handler with Dennis Schroeder. So it's nice to have that flexibility. It's nice to be able to, each game evaluate what's going wrong instead of just kind of being like, well, this is what we have, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We can't really do much about it. And that could be the case. If you add a Malik Monk and he doesn't mesh, then you're kind of stuck with it, and you got to figure out a way to make it work. But overall, I think, we've said it a million times, and it sucks to hear. It's been underwhelming, but we just have to be patient. Trajan Langdon, he's going to do what he wants to do. He's not going to listen to any outside noise. So it's been frustrating, and it's been a long couple of days, and it's going to be funny to look back and remember when Dennis Schroeder, we thought we were going to get some big haul for him and ended up getting pennies or nothing, for that matter. Well, the $14.3 million trade exception, which could end up not even becoming anything at the trade deadline. Who knows what the Pistons team's looking like? If they're sitting at the 2 seed and they're like, we don't need to make a move, let's, save that trade exception. That might be the case as well. So we just don't really know what the front office views this future of this team and what their potential is this year. I think they could be seeing behind the scenes all of this young depth really coming into their own. Ron Holland starts to play really well. Asar Thompson becomes more comfortable with the ball in his hands. Jaden Ivey continues to shoot at a 40% clip. And then you're thinking, man, we're glad that we didn't go out and, screw up the rotation by adding a Malik Monk who was going to take minutes from everybody. So who knows? It would be fun to kind of get a high flyer, get a fun, exciting young piece next to Cade Cunningham. I know everybody wants to see that, including myself. I want to see it very badly. I want to see Cade get his Pascal Siakam or his Jalen Williams or, his kind of go-to Robin to his Batman, but it's not just going to happen overnight. It's going to have to organically develop, and that's clearly what Trajan Lane and the front office want to do. But let's move on to PJ Washington. I know I'm talking about how it's not going to happen and it's going to happen, but I'm just speculating, and I just want to give you guys the information that I'm seeing and just give you guys at least some hope going forward that there could potentially be more moves to be made. And one guy that I'm really intrigued with is PJ Washington. I know I talked about him before on the channel, but I just like the spacing he brings. I think he's an underrated defender. The Mavericks obviously have a surplus of smaller forwards, and so a 6'7" PJ Washington, how does he fit in a rotation of Najee Marshall, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, Cooper Flagg? He just might not be in a position to play as much as he did last year or have an expanded role like he has had in years past. And he's on an expiring deal as well, so I think that both teams would be perfectly fine. I think the Pistons would be fine taking it on. I think the Mavericks would be fine letting him go. So it might not be very much. You could maybe shell out 2 second-round picks and take his contract off the books or something like that. And that fits under your $14.3 million trade exception, so that could happen now, in the future, at the deadline. He's just somebody that I think we should keep in mind. There's been a ton of talks. I don't know if there's any weight to it. It might be just be, fans speculating and trying to think of people that would fit. And he's a guy that I've just heard a lot about. And I think he's just a guy that contributes to winning. He did it a few years ago in the playoffs with Dallas when they went to the finals. I don't think they were the best team in the West by any means last year, but they played very well in the playoff in big part to PJ Washington. He played good defense. He stretched the floor. He rebounded the ball well. He played physical. He's a strong, hard-nosed guy. He's going to do what you asked him to do. And just ended up being a very, very valuable asset to the Mavericks. But right now, his value is just decreasing and decreasing as he gets lower and lower in the depth chart. So the Pistons should at least, go and see what that offer might look like. And I just want to take a look at his advanced stats before I do wrap up. I know I'm going to get people in the comments saying PJ Washington's a horrible defender. Yeah, he's not great, and he's not going to be a guy that gets all NBA attention or all NBA defensive team attention, but he is pretty solid. His rebounding is in the 90th percentile, which is unbelievable for a 6'7" power forward slash small forward. His rim defense in the 64th percentile, which is not great, but his rim frequency is good, which is just the percent of opponent shots at the rim where he's able to contest. And at 84% for a guy that's 6'7", who guards power forwards, can guard centers, that's very impressive, just not being that big. And then his block percentage is 77 percentile, which is very solid for, again, a guy that's not really known for his defense. And then versatility, being able to just guard every position. He's in the 97th percentile, which this scale is just a measure of how versatile a player is defensively on a scale of 0 to 100, and he's at a 94. So clearly he can guard multiple positions, and I just don't think he's going to be a liability on the defensive end. Yeah, he might not be Asar Thompson or Isaiah Stewart level, but he's going to give you solid minutes, and you're not going to be worried about him on the floor, giving up easy looks or not rebounding the ball, or just being lazy overall. Like, you look at a guy like John Collins, who is a very talented athlete, but has been lazy in the past on defense. I don't think PJ Washington's going to do that. Obviously, there's some efficiency things offensively, but that's stuff that'll come with time. Right now, the Pistons, if they're going to add some depth at the forward position, they just need a guy who isn't going to be a liability on the floor, can defend, can shoot the ball. He shot 38% last year from three, so I think he's just a guy that the Pistons should at least be interested in and be looking at, especially if his role diminishes this year going into the trade deadline. But yeah, let me know in the comments or on Twitter if you think PJ Washington would be a good fit, or if you'd like to see the front office go in a different direction with that $22.6 or $14.3 million they have to work with the Dennis Schroeder sign and trade. But that's really all I've got for you guys today. Let me know in the comments or over on Twitter your thoughts on who you'd like to see featured in the Summer League and who overall you're just most excited to see. Also, give me your thoughts on the sign and trade situation. Let out your frustrations in the comments section below. And just let me know what direction you'd like to see the front office go in, either acquire now with the $22.6 million they have, or take the trade exception at $14.3 million into next season and add at the deadline or add at a different time. As always, like, subscribe, comment, turn on post notifications, and follow me on Twitter over at Kyle Garrison2. Once again, thank you guys all so much for tuning in every single day. The channel is growing at an insane rate, and it's all thanks to you guys. Once again, I apologize for the lack of videos over the past couple of days. We're going to get back into it here this week, and going to be getting out videos every single day for you guys. And with that being said, that is going to do it here for episode 16 of Pistons Daily, and I will catch you all next time.